All right, guys, we are going to do a lovely little jade plant with gouache and a bit of watercolor. I'm really excited. I hope you are too. This is from my 30 Cozy Creative Hand-Drawn Designs to Print in Color book. And let's get started. Good morning and welcome, or afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. I saw people waiting for pizza delivery. Yum! And yeah, I just ate breakfast. Go figure. We are a worldwide broadcast, and I thank you guys so much for joining me. This is Deliberately Creative. I am Stephanie. We are doing a jade plant, and it is from this little book. If you're interested for more information, check down below in the more information box, or ask a question over in the live chat. There is a link at the top of the live chat for this book and for my whole Teespring store. So get to the Teespring store and then you can have access to the world. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Welcome Gina and Devantic and Josie, and I think I saw Darcy, and oh, there's a whole bunch of people coming in. I am so excited that you're here. We're going to be doing this fun little jade plant, and I want to put in a soft green background. It's going to have some little gold and white, or yellow and white bokeh type lights. Let me bring up the other view so we can see that lovely reference photo. You notice I changed the reference photo. I did not put that burlap wrapping around the little basket. Instead of it setting on a bit of a log, I put it on a bit of a rock. But I do want to put in that sort of out of focus background. I need to get my phone recording. There we go. Phone is recording. Awesome. So you just got your copy of the book. I am waiting for my physical copy of the book. I ordered it from Amazon. They said it was going to be here on Sunday. And then halfway through Sunday, they changed it and said, oh no, it's not going to be there until Monday. So I've got 3 copies of the book coming. Really quick here, I am going to be using the Arteza gouache, and I'll go through the colors in a second. I am going to use this watercolor palette to get a really quick background in and get it dry. Sometimes I like to use a watercolor background and then gouache on top because it makes that whatever you put in gouache feel more substantial, feel even stronger and part of the real world versus just flat on the piece of paper. So I need to shift some things around so that I can get to my greens and not have it cover my painting. All right, so today is the day of everything keeps moving and shifting, right? I need to get this background in all nice and wet. I should have just picked up my bigger brush, but I didn't. I can actually make this go across the whole thing. Ah, look at that. You can do the background. Since we're putting gouache on top of it, it will be opaque and will block out everything that's in the background. So we score on that, don't we? You received your copy on Sunday? So look at this. You guys have your copy of the book before I do. How's that for being lucky in the world? If you ordered a copy of the Cozy Creative book off of Amazon, and whatever you think of it, please put a review on Amazon. It helps other people know what they're getting. And I do want people to know they are getting very basic color book style designs. But by doing that, we have room to go in and make it something special. Now that green is a little bit too yellow, but I'm just going to go like this and let it be just, part of that background. I'm going to paint right over the top of the jade plant. We're going to be able to see the whole thing, no matter what, through the watercolor. This is the hand-drawn original piece on the Hanamulla paper. It was done on the bamboo paper. So the 265, it was the bamboo mixed media Hanamulla. It's 265 GSM. So that's about 125 pound. I'm just picking up some random colors and just getting them in here, giving us a very earthy green background. But then every once in a while I'm popping some of this other green in there. Start getting a little bit darker. Might pick up a little bit of the Prussian blue. See? And I do want to work it either really light around the jade plant or really dark. We're going to be drying this in just a second, but I am picking up some Prussian blue and dropping that into a few spots, maybe adding a little bit more water, getting it to flow around. It's kind of a natural background in there, so if you get some brush strokes and if they stay, that's awesome. If they don't, it's just going to blur out and feel like the plant has, a place that it's living. The background is going to be a lot lighter. And like I said, I'm doing the background in with gouache, with watercolor before I use the gouache. Maybe a little bit there. And I'm going to use the white and the yellow gouache to make my little bokeh light background. But I want to show you, I'm using a piece of magic eraser. Uh-oh, scissors. No, not those scissors. I don't think, nope. Hey, sweetie, I have a pair of scissors sitting next to my, yeah, thank you. My little stunned hands just brought me some scissors. Now this is just a piece of magic eraser, and it's a small piece because I don't want to do really big, huge dots. But I'm going to go in and just sort of wipe out a few, give it a little bit of some texture in there. It's more giving me an idea, where do I want to put some of these. These are the shadows behind the dots. Yeah, just some shadows behind the dots. You don't really have to do this part. It's helping me think where I'm going to do this. There's going to be a lot of white over here. And the neat thing is you can use a square to make a circle. I think that's what I want you to see, is that you use a square to make a circle. And I'm going to get some of those dots right up close to the edge here of the actual plant. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. You're going to go to sleep. Kashuki. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's late at night for you over there in India. All right, so now I want to pick up a little bit of white. I just rinsed out my little sponge here. You can do this with anything. You could also do it with just a brush and twirl your brush to make little dots. So some of these, my sponge is really wet. Let's go ahead and switch it to the side view so you can see a little bit more. I'm putting it down and twisting. I'm letting it get a really good twist. See? Twist and lift. Twist and lift. And because the watercolor is still wet, while I'm doing this, I can go over my dots and they will pick up some of that color that's in the background. How's that? So Yeah, I did I did a little switcheroo on you guys, didn't I? I have decided that Saturdays and Sundays, I'm going to try and keep for family time. And, if I need to do a little bit of, designing or thinking about things, I want to trim that little corner right there. You see that corner that's sitting up? It was kind of getting in my way. So you can do that. Neat thing about a little sponge, you can do that. That's looking good. I might take a tiny touch of yellow. I'm just using my sponge and just pulling a little bit of that yellow out. Brighten up a couple of those spots. Oh, that's cool. And I see a hair, and the edge of that hair is hanging off, so I can take it off there. I have long hair. My long hair gets into all of my paintings. I don't need a dog to get hair or a cat to get hair on my paintings. I do it just fine without them. I'm going to put a couple of those there. Maybe a little bit stronger yellow. See, I'm just putting paint on that sponge. And because it's gouache, it's actually going to be on top. It's going to show really nicely. I think that's good. What do you think? Do you guys like this background? I think that it's a lot of fun to do it, and it's so much easier than you would think. I just picked up a little bit of white. Put a few magic dots, a few little magic spots up high. Get that watercolor palette out of the way. It is Marianthe. It's 9:21 or 9:11 p.m. Yeah, 21:11, 9:11 p.m. Wow. Yeah, isn't that fun? Let's go ahead and put that back on the top down so you can really get the effect. See? Now we're looking at that reference right there, and it's a lot brighter over here. I think I'm going to make it a lot brighter. So I'm taking more of that white. I didn't clean my sponge. It still has some of those other colors in it, but I want a few brighter spots. You can overlap them, make a few of these spots like way brighter so that they feel like they're right on top. Run them off the edge too. Don't think that you have to make perfect little dots and have them all show up as polka dots. Part of the magic of this is that they're overlapping each other. See? And you see how I don't have to keep going back and adding more paint, and it gives more of an effect of transparency and depth. All right. I think that's good. Maybe one or two more right up here. And it's that twist and lift. Twist and lift. Overlap those. Make little bundles of them if you want, but don't try and do patterns. I think that's good. I think that's good. I say that, I need to go with it. That looks good. I'm going to dry it now. I just dropped that sponge into the background. So Devantic, it's 1:11 in your location. Wow. That's cool. That is cool. All right. So now we are going to go in here and dry this. Now remember, this is a heat tool. It gets very, very hot. And I do want to kind of block it from drying my paint. So I'm just going to take a piece of card and kind of block my paint that's over here on the left-hand side so that the hot air doesn't dry my paints out. These are re-wettable, but they work a lot better from being straight out of the tube. And that's the gouache. Yeah. Drying the paper, letting it flatten back out a little bit. And this does wobble and warp the paper some. I did do quite a bit of water and such on here. It is mixed media paper, so it doesn't take much to get it going. I see a few spots here that I might clean up where I got a little over enthusiastic with my white before I trim that corner. But it's looking really good. And we've already got the background, the top part of the background. I'm going to come down here and get the bottom part put in really fast also, but I wanted to get this bokeh done. There we go. Let that dry. So, now what I have here, my colors. I don't know that I'm going to use all these colors. I'm pretty sure I am. I have white, ultramarine blue, vermilion red, lemon yellow, sap green, lime green, and deep green. Yes, I could mix all of my greens, and yes, I do tend to mix all of my greens. But this time I wanted to have some places to start from because, hey, why not? I am going to have to mix my brown tones, though, unless I can find one really quick. All right. Give us a little bit of a place to start from. We will also have some burnt umber. Let's see here. Just to give us a little bit of a place to start from with our browns. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just move those off out of the way, because I will end up knocking them off anyway. Let's just get them out of the way to start off with. I am going to mix up the brown tones to go down here at the bottom. And so I'm first going to take this gouache and I'm going to thin it down. Now, I could take my watercolor and get this put in. Probably would have been, faster in the long run, but who knows? I might get this. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and just get the rocks and everything put in with this base coat. Putting a base layer just helps you. You don't have to worry about the white poking through and causing you any grief. We can use white to highlight. We can use the white paint, the white gouache. And I'm going to keep this foreground kind of rough. I'm not going to make it a smooth. I want it to look kind of like dirt, right? So there, we've got dirt. And this was all one color. It's all one color. I'm going to grab a little bit of ultramarine blue and mix it in to some of that burnt umber and go in and start getting that little hill of dirt and rocks put in. You can work with gouache in a watercolor style, doing layers of thin layers of watered down gouache. You can work with gouache in a very flat and thick style. We're going to be doing all of them. So right now, we're doing the kind of watercolor wash style. I'm getting some of the darker tones put in around on those rocks. But look, I'm not being fussy. I'm just sort of putting the color in and letting it blur out. Anybody interested? Watercolor and gouache are the same thing, except gouache has bigger pigment particles and it has stuff in it to make it more opaque, make it less see-through. Let's zoom in just a smidge. And focus. There we go. All right. Yeah, it's kind of pretty, isn't it? Already. Doesn't take a lot. We can do this. You can do it as quickly or as slowly as you wish, or loosely and as refined as you wish. So you can do it a very loose painting. Generally, gouache is not done as loose. It's a little bit more, I want to say, people tend to be more considered with their edges. You tend to end up with sharper edges, cleaner edges with gouache, but you don't have to. So in this cozy time, I know many people are dealing with snow and being indoors because of weather, being indoors just because of the situation going on in the world, and wanting to maintain that safety for ourselves and our families. It's a blessing that many people are now starting to get the vaccines. I'm just putting a little bit of that darker tone, sort of sliding across, letting it be a little bit wobbly, a little bit up and down. You can dry brush with gouache. You can splatter with gouache. It does dry chalkier. It does dry more opaque. You're not going to see as much of the paper through if you put thick layers. Right now the light in here is from the paper, but I'm going to grab a little bit of white and add that down here and make kind of a gray tone. This is the ultramarine blue now, white and burnt umber. I'm going to go and start putting a little bit. It's not very white though. Look, see, it's actually darker than the white of the paper. But it's lighter than that brown up there. I'm going to grab a little bit more white. We're just getting a few little highlighty bits, just sort of dragging it across, not too worried about making anything super specific yet. I'm kind of working those colors around, getting them bounced in. We're just having some fun. Did you guys have a good weekend? Did you enjoy? I know I see some people, many people actually, that were here on the weekend for the mini marathon that we did. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, coming and doing Valentine cards, or, you know, they also would work for Mother's Day cards, or grandparents, or friends. It's a cool thing. Hearts are good for anybody, right? Right now we need all the hearts we can get. So in a minute, I'll show you the little book. So having a good weekend. Yay, Devantic. Glad that you had a good weekend. Hi guys, so good to read you, Linda says. Yeah, being able to read the chat, hang out. I think that's one of the really cool things about live streams, is that people get to start to develop some friendships with people, finding people in the world, all over the world, that you would never have gotten a chance to meet in real life. You get to meet up with them, and you can meet up with them every day. Oh, I was saying earlier, I'm going to start taking my Saturdays and Sundays and, kind of focusing on self-care, focusing on doing things just because I want to and not because it's my job. My husband has been trying to get me to not put in such long days. And I know you guys have tried telling me that I do too much or work too long of hours and such. But sometimes when you're doing things that you love, that you want to do a really good job, you continue to work harder than you should and longer than you should. So, I decided that my videos, I'm doing live streams Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So whatever time it was when you came into this, that's when they're going to be. YouTube has not been rewarding me for going and doing 2 videos in a day. So I won't be doing 2 videos in a day very often. If I do, it's going to be one of those marathon type days. And yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm grabbing a little bit more of the blue. Want to change up the color of the rocks just a little bit. Start putting a few little kind of gray bits. Not, again, I'm covering up a lot of my ink. Cool thing with gouache, you can end up with your painting looking like it was just a drawn paint or just a painted painting without any pen lines by the time you're done, or very few pen lines. So if you want something to look like an actual painting versus a color book, using gouache is great. However, when you use gouache and you start covering up, you have to have in your mind what you're looking at. So you have to know that there were rocks there, or you have to know that the leaves are there. So that's where having the book is a good idea, because then once you've drawn it up yourself or printed it out yourself on other paper, I can look back at this and go, oh yeah, there's a whole pile of little rocks and stuff right here. If I want to be as fussy, I can be fussy. But look at that. Where we started with the black and white here, that's the reference right there, and then where we are. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm not sure. Thank you, Gina. Sad for you. Glad I'm going to have more time. It's good for you guys too. Think about it. Having time to spend with your family, having time to do the artwork that you want to do. I'm just taking a bit of the white mixed into that grayed down blue color, sort of putting it down on the highlights of some of the rocks. There we go. So I love the community that comes in here. I love that we're all ages, that we are kind and thoughtful. And I love that even if somebody doesn't like what they see right now, they can be patient and wait and see if it comes together. Because many paintings go through a time when they are not as complete looking as you think they're going to be. And we're careful with how we make comments. Even when people can't see your face, we get to know your type of personality, and you start to make assumptions about how people are in real life. So if you wouldn't say something to your mom, don't say it to me. And if you wouldn't say something to your friend, don't say it to yourself. Okay? We need to be kind to ourselves. We need to be kind to our friends. We need to be kind to our families. And we need to be kind to the strangers that we meet out here on the internet. Because you never know who those strangers might be. And you never know when one of those strangers might be the person who gives you a job or buys your artwork or does something for you in real life because they ended up being your neighbor. So be kind, be thoughtful, kind to yourself, which is why I'm going to start taking that time for myself, being kind, and taking time to be more mindful of what's going on around me. I'm just playing here, guys. I'm layering up colors, I'm adding light in, I'm highlights in, I'm adding shadows in. I'm just sort of, at this point, what you're doing is you're kind of sculpting, you're painting, you're sort of finding where the rocks are, find where the tops of those rocks are, find where the bottoms are, add some dark color to it, add some light color to it. I just added some blue into my umber so I can start getting some of those little tiny rocks back in down here at the bottom. Oh, you know what? It was not necessarily that anybody was being very rude. It was that sometimes I preemptively say things because I just have a feeling that something might be getting ready to happen. And it's always nice to remind ourselves, too, that we need to be kind to ourselves. And if it's not something you wouldn't say to a friend, don't say it to yourself. When you're doing your artwork and you see, oh my gosh, this is looking a little bit rough. You see, that's better than saying, oh my gosh, it looks like a pile of something that's, was left in a field. It's better to say, oh, it's looking a little rough right now. Oh, it needs a little bit of highlight right here. How about if I do a little bit of highlight up there? What if I just put a little bit there? And then go, oh, well, you know what? That looks a little bit fake, or that looks a little bit not realistic. It doesn't have to be realistic. And you can go in and, lovely thing, soften your colors out. So yeah, I was just being preemptive. I kind of get a little bit of a sixth sense about when things are going to start being a little bit weird, and I'll make a comment. But many times, as we've seen here in this group, there will be some really weird comments come through, and it ended up not being the person who was signed in, but somebody else. So knowing that we give people chances, but we only do that when there's a reason to give people chances. Just working it through. The bokeh is a lot of fun. Have fun. And the bokeh background works so well for so many different things. See, I'm really just chiseling some of those rocks out and then pushing them back. And then softening that shadow down. Now, gouache is one of those things that if you work it too much, like if you work back and forth, you can work almost all the way back to the paper, and then it's really hard. Your thumbs are way up. That is awesome. Thank you. Yeah, please click that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, all the good stuff. All the good stuff. Share, have fun, enjoy. We are here for creativity. We are here for camaraderie. I have to stop every once in a while, look up and go, all right, I'm going to take a little bit of that red and mix it in. Oh, look at that. Now we're getting more of a rusty red brown. I'm just going to tap it in. This is the time when little bits can go a long way and little bits can take you too far. So just enjoy the process and listen to that little voice in your head that says stop, and actually stop when you hit it. That little voice hasn't said that yet. It hasn't said it yet. My little voice is saying you need some more detail, you need a little more contrast. Sometimes if you add a lot of white to something, it all turns gray, especially when it dries. So you need to go and put some contrast back in. Contrast being much darker or much lighter. I just want to loosen that up a little bit, make it look a little bit more piled up. It looked so much like just 3 rocks, boom, 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 right here. I decided I wanted to just work that in. Thank you guys so much for pushing that like button. Yeah, remember to breathe. Don't hold your breath when you're painting. And that's a good thing to, Mary, thank you for reminding me of that. That's a good thing to remember. Grab a little bit more of that blue, and I'm going to grab a little bit more of that red. Mixing it into that burnt umber. There we go. See, now I'm just putting some shadowy bits, more just tapping in shapes. I'm looking at this, it would be better for me if I was holding it up at about this height, and I just put my thumb in the lime green, because there's a little bit of a glare. One of the things, wet paint has a shine to it, so I have to remember to look up at my screen, because that's how I get to see it flat. If I want to put some letters in the painting, can I use pencil and then erase it? Talking about watercolor. You can lightly pencil on top of a watercolor, and when you do your lettering, then you can go back in with like a soft gum type eraser, and you can lift out most of the pencil. It's always good if you, when you're lettering, I've learned that when you letter, if you can run your paint line right up over the edge, so say this is my line, when I'm painting it in, just go just a hair outside of your pencil line. Then you don't have to worry about erasing. I'm just tapping in. I'm just tapping in. I just want some texture. I've decided that I didn't really need the rocks so much as I just need texture. Those little tiny rocks going across. I think I want that color. A little bit of water. You get to learn what how much water you need. I just want to get it a little bit darker right around the base. And work that darker down just a little bit. It's going to pick up some of the white and it's going to mix in. There we go. And maybe I'll work some of that darker tone right out to the front. So I said that you can splatter, and you can. I'm going to just throw a paper towel right here, which was a good thing, huh? Because see how some of that splatter would have gone up in the painting? I just want to get some texture down here in front. And I'm going to add a little bit. You may have to give your son a ride, and you may or may not be back. All right. Debbie, but we'll be here. It will be here. Even if you come back after we're not live anymore, we're still here for you, right? You can turn on the chat and you can see what people were chatting about. I'm just adding some more blue to that. Brown. Get a little bit darker tone. A little bit of water to it. So then I can get some more speckles. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. You can do as much of that or as little as you wish. Hello, welcome back to Vontic. All right, so what I want to do now, I'm going to pick up that paper towel carefully and set that one off to the side so that I don't get drippy drops on things. I am going to dry this really quick. Marianthe. And I love that you sent me the how to say it and what it meant. I thought that was beautiful. Yep, leave your questions in comments and I will answer them if you are here after the live show is over. I'm just drying that speckly base down here. I see that I do need to go much darker right there at the very bottom of the pot. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the pot in and we will work our jade plant leaves in. Oh, that's fun. That's looking good. See, you don't know what your colors really look like until they're dry. See how much depth there is there? See how much depth we already have? And it is much darker here than I thought it was. Yeah. I love when people leave comments and share that they were here. I love that you guys are so supportive of each other as you come in. I'm putting just another layer of this bit darker right around the base of that pot and coming down this little hill. The lighting is behind it, right? So it's kind of like the shadows coming down the hill. I'm not making it a perfect representation of the plant there, but just giving it that little bit of a feel that there is something else working its way down the hill. A little bit more shadow. Did it come? Okay, hand it to me. Mark just got the mail. I just need the book. I don't need the whole package. There we go. Mark just got the mail. We're going to zoom out. I'm excited. Here's the printed book. The printed book. Look at that cover. Isn't it fun? It does have samples of the artwork. 12 of the 30 are on the back of the cover. And then 30 cozy and creative designs for a doodle coloring book for positivity and mindfulness. Look at that. And then we've got our pages all laid out. So let's zip forward. Boop, there we are. So there we are in the coloring book. Yep, I will answer that. So there we go. Okay, I had to share that, guys. I had to share that. So now I just had to. Hey, Ruth already has hers. I got mine just now. So this this heat tool is the Ranger Heated Craft Tool. It is actually an embossing heat gun, so it gets to be about 500 degrees, I think. So you can burn your paper if you hang out too long with it. This one was from 2017, and I've been reading up that they are a little hit and miss on the new ones. They can get a little overheating, so you need to be kind of careful. And just any heat tool, but a hairdryer works also. Just a regular hairdryer. Ooh, cheddar brats. You'll have to share. Look at that shadow though. Oh, that's looking good. Let's just go ahead and dry it. Can you use your DeWalt heat gun? I think that gets up to like 1,000 degrees. So you would have to be way far back and make sure that you use it on the lower power settings. You can test it. Don't do that with your super hot heat tools and acrylic paint, but with the watercolor, it doesn't seem to make a difference. There we go. All right. So now, yeah, thank you guys. I am so excited that the book arrived. It makes me so happy. It's so much fun to see these in real life. I mean, and this right here, I did do a kind of a light bar going across, so it's not a defect in the printing. This was designed this way with the transparent white box to make the words show up just a little bit better. So don't worry, that's not a defect. Designed and illustrated by me. Yeah. But if you want the downloadable version, it is an instant download that you can get. The link is listed up above, and I'll have to get the link for the actually the link for the book is down below in the more information box for my Amazon store. And the links are down below for all of the materials. The paper you can get on Amazon. It's the Hanamula bamboo. And the paints you can get on Arteza with an extra 10% off coupon code that is Deliberately Creative 15. Deliberately Creative 15. All right, we are going to get in here and mix up our little terracotta pot. So I'm going to sort of play and see if I can mix up a terracotta. Now, this is the vermilion red. It is an orangey red. So I'm thinking that with a bit of the yellow and then a touch of the blue. Okay, that's getting close. That is getting close. That's getting to be like a pottery red almost. A little bit more yellow. And a bit of the white. See, I have multiple plops of white out here. Look at that. We've got like a terracotta pot. So, get a little bit more water in that. Terracotta pot. We've got it. So, when you learn how to mix your colors, you can sometimes guess how to mix up a different color. I have not tested mixing terracotta, but because I knew I had an orangey red and I had a blue that made red, or blue that had a red base in it, the ultramarine blue, I knew that the blue and the orange would kind of tone together and make it feel a little bit more pottery, earth toned, I guess. You get to learn how the colors work together. You can do multiple layers and you can add things. I'm not going to actually use the tone of the paper for my highlight in there. I think I need to raise my chair up a little bit. Where's my handle? That's not the handle that I need. Is it? Oh, that's going the wrong direction. I guess I'm up as high as this chair goes. All right, I just have to sit up straighter. Sometimes you have to sit up straight so that you can see all of your painting. The reason for painting this after painting the ground that it's sitting on is that it can look like it's sitting on top of it. See, I can even pull some of that background color, that dirt color, up into it. Oh, that's looking good. A little bit of... I'm not going to have much highlight on the front of this. Thinking about it, going, the glow is coming from behind, isn't it? You're not going to have much highlight. I'm going to put a deeper shadow, but the whole thing is going to be pretty darn dark, except for right at the very edges, outside edges, because the light will kind of wrap around a little bit. So those sides where you think that you would have highlight, or think that it would be shadow, it's actually highlight. I'm using that color on that's coming up from the ground as to my benefit here, working it up into the pot a little bit. The front right here is actually going to be curved, so I'm sort of putting my lines on in a bit of a curve. I'm going to grab just a smidge of white and work that along the edge to lighten it up. And because it is gouache, light colors can go on top of dark colors. Watercolor, you can't do that. You have to, unless it is gouache. You can take gouache on top of watercolor, but you can't take, there's no white watercolor. There's white gouache that gets put into watercolor sets. Chinese white is a gouache. A little bit of that light, maybe with a touch of yellow in it. Very subtle. You can't even see that. I need a little bit more yellow. I need a little bit more water. It's fun, you know? Doing this type of painting, working it up. There we go. Get a little bit more of that yellow coming around the edge. A little bit of that yellow on this side. Working itself around that edge. It feels weird to have a dark spot in the very front, doesn't it? It's just darker than the outside edges. I'm going to grab a little bit more of that color, mix it up a little bit. If you get a color that you absolutely love and you don't mix enough of it, you're going to have what I just had here, which is you're going to have an opportunity to try using that color that you just mixed up someplace else. I mixed it up a little too dark, but I wanted to paint, so then I put it down. Didn't go anywhere due to the dead battery in your van. Oh no. Sometimes things work out the way they're supposed to. So maybe you just weren't supposed to be on the road today. Yes, I am always going to try and find a positive for us. I'm going to dry that really quick and see what we've got. There we go. Look at, oh wow. Yeah, this is looking good. We're going to start getting those leaves in. Now I am seeing a couple little spots along the edge that, you know, of the pot. And you can work it back. This paper, the Hanamula bamboo, works like a dream. You can lift, you can paint back. I like that. That little pot really is standing out there. Here, I need to take a little slurp of my coffee, even though it's cold. Just because I need to breathe. I need to take a look here. I shouldn't have put all of this green out until later. But you know what? Little spray bottle of water. On my greens, I'm going to reconstitute that little white that's setting up there. The yellow. The brown. I've been drying a lot, so put in pot without the plastic. Oh, Devonta giving us instructions on how to make cheddar brats, huh? Good job, kiddo. I remember when my son was in grade school, and one of the lessons that they had to do was the kids had to teach somebody how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So they had to go through and figure out all the steps. So, you know, what do you need first? What do you need next? Type of thing. So that was an interesting project, because if you're trying to teach somebody to do something that they've never done before, thinking of all the steps that are necessary. Like this one right here. I'm taking this I took the lime green and the sap green and kind of mixed them together in a watery mix. I'm putting a coat of that down just so that I remember that there is light. This is probably my lightest green that I'm going to have in this painting. Having the reference really helps. It reminds you that, hey, there is light shining on some of these leaves. The leaves are not transparent. These are thick, fleshy leaves that hold a lot of water, but they do have kind of a glow to them. They might have some translucency of light. So having that sort of translucent, light, yellow-green color in there really helps. I'm even going to drop it onto the stem and onto these two little leaves. These little leaves down here at the base of the plant, I think are you know how when you're growing a jade plant, sometimes you'll knock a leaf loose. And if you take that leaf, you can just stick it down in the pot, in the dirt, and keep it wet, and it will grow into its own little plant. Simple as pie. Yeah. Simple as pie. Or easy as pie. Okay, I'm going to grab I'm going to go underneath that yellow. Grab a little bit of yellow. My paint is wet. My leaves are wet. I'm just putting a few little spots of yellow. Looks like I have a little bit of that red on my yellow also. That's just magic color. Sometimes your brush will pick up a bit of another color, and I just call those magic because there might actually be some of that color in there already anyway, and it gives it a little bit of spark of life, something a little bit different. The leaves are going to be over the top of all of that bokeh. So I've got these colors down. I want to go ahead and dry. Again, this is going to be but Devantic, when you're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, what do you need first? First, you need a plate or a piece of paper towel on the table or the counter, right? Then you'll need the peanut butter, the bread, the jelly, and the knife. But then you need to open the jars, right? So you need to make sure that you open the jar of peanut butter before you take the knife, take a scoop of peanut butter out of that, and then spread it on one slice of the bread. Oh, hold it. You didn't take the bread out. So you've got to take the bread out and put it on the plate first. See? So there's a way to go through it and give all of the steps. So I try to think of those things when, oh yeah, I was going to dry that. I tried. No, I'm not doing the burlap. I am not doing the burlap. I didn't draw the burlap bag on it. You could put the burlap on if you wanted to, but when I drew it during the marathon, when I drew all 30 of the designs, I didn't draw the burlap on the bag. There's a dictionary of the abbreviations. Oh my gosh, yes. I think I probably need to get the poster. There's so many abbreviations that people are using. Okay, that's way too dark. So what I'm doing, I dried the painting. I'm picking up some more color. I want it to have a little bit of darkness in it. I'm going to soften that green that's up here. Pick it up, move it around a little bit. Since I know I'm going to need that darker green, might as well just move it around. I'm drying my brush off, picking up that color. There. Now this is going to be darker in spaces where it's thicker, where there's more shadow. I am going to be losing some of those detail lines that I had drawn. Now you could color this with colored pencils. You could color it with crayon. You could color it with markers, all depending on what paper you print it out on if you buy the instant download. Or if you got the coloring book, you can trace the designs onto other paper. So you can still do that. You can trace the designs on other paper. You can, and then you can use whatever media that paper is good for. The paper in the book from Amazon is thin. It is thinner paper. So my recommendation is dry media and very limited amounts of watery stuff. Look at that. Look at all that dark that I moved around just from that one little plop of dark paint that I accidentally dropped on. But I'm leaving areas that I want to remind myself need to be light. And I'm putting dark in so that you have shape. You can stop at any point on this and say it's done. It's that cool. You are the one in control. And that's the other thing. You are in control on your painting. Just because I stop at a certain point or I continue on beyond a certain point doesn't mean you have to. You are the one in control of your art supplies. You are the one in control of your brush. Nobody is going to tell you you did it wrong. All right? I want you to, and if they tell you you did it wrong, you don't need to listen to them. Because it's your art, your vision, and the way you want to share your vision. All right? So I'm looking at this going, that's looking good. I do like that deep green. I'm going to mix it with some other colors though, just to lighten it up just a smidge. Not too much. I want to get some really dark right down close to the stem. Down here on the bottom part of the stem, I'm going to take some of the dark sort of down the middle and let it be a little bit lighter around the edges. See how we're starting to get that depth in there, the 3D quality almost. Let's zoom in on that. All right. What's a good plant name? You're going to choose, and then who I like the most is what my plant name is going to be. Aww. That sounds good. Let's see, what's a good plant name? Well, you want to know what this one reminds me of. This one reminds me of a little Jack in the Box. So I would call this little guy Jack for myself. I think Jack the Jade plant sounds like a really good name. But that's, you know, that's my interpretation, my feeling. You can have your own. Jack the Jade plant. What do you guys think? Jack the Jade plant will be I think I need to make a gardening journal and have Jack the Jade plant be the cover of the gardening journal. So if you have a gardening journal, what types of things do you want to know or to remember when you are doing a garden? I know, like plant names or seed names are things that I'd like to keep track of. Maybe the date that I start planting. I'm taking a little bit of that yellow and orange. Oh, yeah. That yellow red, and putting a little bit of that on there out here on the very tips. Oh, I like that. That is making me happy. You like the name? Aloysius, Petunia, Poison Ivy. So I hear the name Poison Ivy and my brain goes to that song. Poison Ivy, Poison Ivy. Every night she's a creepin'. When everyone is sleeping, Poison Ivy. Now, those are not the actual words. I was making things up. I am loving this. It's turning out so cute. Thank you. Yeah, please click that like button if you are if you're new here. I'd love to have you join us by subscribing to the channel. It's always free to subscribe to YouTube channels. Now, some channels do have memberships as a way to help support the creator on that channel, but actually subscribing to their channels is always free. And your YouTube creators are then supported, or you're supporting them by watching the my brain just went dead, by watching the advertisements. I'm taking a little bit of white and adding it into that yellow, giving myself a few little highlighty bits here and there. I see there's a lot of those little highlights showing up right around the edges. So I have been trying to leave. You see how this one here has that light edge all the way around? But it actually has, in the photograph, this one is like the one that is really facing you, and it has a lot more of that white, brighter color. But this is not totally white. I have a little bit of that orange yellow color in my brush. Put a little sparkle of that right there. Up here at the top, we need a little sparkle. If you don't like something that you do, you can always go back and wipe it out. You had a massive jade plant. He got a disease. And with $100 and all the fun, we still have 5 kids at home. So hundreds of dollars for plant medicine didn't make much sense back then. Yeah. I understand that. You know, sometimes you have to just let nature have its way. And if nature says, nope, you're getting, Mr. Plant, you're going to have to fend for yourself, then, maybe you can take at that point you would take a little cutting from it and see if you can get a healthy cutting going. See, I'm just going and throwing some little spots of color on here. Now I'm looking at it going, I think there's a bit of some darker green. I want a little bit darker green right up here under that edge. I want a little bit darker green up here under this one. I can soften these out. So right now I'm just throwing the colors down. A little bit dark right there. A little bit darker right here, maybe down deep. And that's something that I love about gouache, is that it's actually like you can develop this picture coming forward. So you can get that weightiness of it to make it feel like it's waxy or it's really, really there in space and time. Lots of practice. So this is not drawn perfectly, but if you want to see how I drew it, I did a 14-hour marathon, and I showed step by step how to draw every single one of the designs. So I have all of the designs here in my 30 Cozy Creative hand-drawn designs. I am making another commercial, guys. That's what I'm doing. Another commercial. I drew all of the designs. Tomorrow is going to be the bunny slippers. We're going to be painting the cover. We might change the colors up a little bit or not, but we're going to be painting the bunny slippers from the cover tomorrow. But there's 30 designs, and they are drawn in a way so that you have room to make it your own. That one was a lot of fun. All of these designs are listed in the playlist up here at the top. And I'm looking at that going, oh my goodness. I had that edge, that little black edge the entire time. So all of the videos are listed up above in the playlist. And if you're interested in this bokeh background, I did it live here on the channel in front of everybody at the beginning of this video. So make sure that you run back so that you can see it, or come back and watch the whole thing again. It's up to you. I'm just softening out some of those edges, making it look a little bit more shadowy instead of painted on. Just soften the edges. That's the cool thing. Regular gouache can be re-wet, and you can move your colors around. You can soften them, and you can add to them. You can overlay, and you can say, I want a really dark edge right there. So that's kind of what this is all about, is learning how to see the light and the shadow, and learning how to layer your colors in. Sometimes glazing, which is just a thin, transparent layer. Sometimes putting it on very solidly and opaquely so that it's not transparent. Gouache gives you that option to do it so many different ways. And I think that's what I love about it the most. Oh, I need to get those little guys painted in some. Get these little leaves done. That would look a little funny if they didn't have some of those same colors, right? You have a lot of plants and most of them are big. Yeah. So grab those plants, have fun. Draw portraits of your plants. Practice. See, that's the thing, is having the opportunity to practice. And when you've got live models right there in front of you, set it down in front of you and draw your plants. I was watching YouTube creator, her name is, I've said her name on here before, Minnie Small, M-I-N-N-I-E, Small. She's amazing, so calm, so chill. Her videos are very chill, and she did a whole sketchbook series of drawing all of the plants that she has in her house. You did that with your cactus and you drew him? Awesome. I love the idea of, drawing plant portraits. Now, I don't have any plants in the house right now. Just because I don't have any plants in the house right now. Wintertime, and I'm being so focused on trying to get things done for the YouTube channel. I was afraid that I would start killing plants. So I had an orchid that was given to me last year for right before Christmas, I think. Or no, they gave it to me for Christmas. And it was one of my neighbors gave it to me, and it was beautiful, and it grew, and then the flowers died, and I got it to the point where it had budded out again and started to bloom, and I took it back and I gave it back to them. And I said, all right, I have gone through one full blooming cycle. You guys gave it to me. I'm giving it back to you so that I don't kill it. If it blooms again, you can give it back to me, and we'll just keep trading this plant back and forth. All right. Oh my goodness gracious. That is looking so cool. I'm going to take just a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow. My brush is really not very wet at all. So a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow. I'm going to go and put just a tiniest touch of wet water, yeah. Just give it a little bit of light out here on the tips of some of those, not all of them, but I want to spark it up just a little bit here and there. And I don't want it to be dry brushy. I do want the color to go on and show smoothly, because the leaves on a jade plant are smooth and glossy. There we go. All right. I think a little bit more down here on those two little leaves down below. Need a little bit more dark right down there at the base of them. And a little bit more middle green and lime green. I want to get those guys a little bit more solid feeling. A little more opaque. And remember that you don't know exactly what the colors are going to look like until it's dry. So you either dry it with a heat tool or a hair dryer, or you let it wait and dry. Oh, that's looking pretty. That one's a little bit rough right there. I want to smooth it out. Now I'm just going with a slightly damp brush and just refining a few of my little edges, just softening them. Not really adding more paint, just sort of softening the paint that's there. Going up to the edge there. I like how this feels. They feel thick. They feel like you could reach in and touch. A little bit of light on that edge. Still want that one to be brighter. A little bit there. A little bit here. Where there's a dark, if you put a little bit of light, it gives it more shape. So thank you so much, Cherry Scales. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Lots of shades of green. It makes it feel living. Absolutely. Taking a bit of yellow, lighten that top edge just slightly. I think that's good. A little bit of white. Ah, there. See? All right. Oh yeah, I was going to soften up a couple of those little extra hard bits that I see, little squared off corners. I'm just softening them out just a little bit with my brush. Because it's something that would bother me in the long run. It might not bother you. Don't do it if it doesn't bother you. It's kind of all I needed was just that little bit. Yep. Let's zoom out. Take the tape off. Sign it. And we will be done. I'm going to sign with the same pen that I used for drawing. And I think I'm just going to sign it right in that darker side. Maybe not. It's like I had the pen working, then I set it down and it didn't work. Now, drawing on top of gouache with your pen is a little bit trickier. You do need to have it, I think I need to put it in a thinner space. There we go. We're going to pull the tape off. And this has been heated up, so the tape is releasing just fine. If your tape does not release, if it pulls your paper, make sure that you just heat your tape up. Break the adhesive, and then it will lift off much more easily. Look at that, sweetie. Oh, it's so, so cute. All right, Jack, you are one of my new favorite paintings. We'll just zoom in a little bit, focus it up. And there we go. All right, so we used the Arteza paints. We used the watercolor. and we have a beautiful little painting of Jack, the jade plant, with a lovely bokeh background, lots of fun. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Make sure that you join me tomorrow. We're going to be doing the bunny slippers. Bunny slippers number 16 in the book. So there we go. If you want this book, it's available on Teespring. Oh, and really quick, if you didn't show up for the live stream mini marathon on Saturday, I did a whole bunch of Valentine hearts. I showed step by step how to draw all 6 of the Valentine hearts that are in this little book. Here. In this little book, it is Creative Hearts Full of Flowers. It is a digital download, instant download. It is 2 pages, 6 hearts. And if you download this, you have it as a reference. You can also print it out on watercolor paper so that you can watercolor up your own cards. This is on watercolor paper from a printout. Who'd have thought it, huh? So that's available on Teespring also. And I am putting together the color downloads of all of the images that we did during the mini marathon. I am going to be putting those together as a digital download booklet also, so that people can print their own fun little Valentines or card fronts to send to friends and family. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, go out and do something creative. Take care of yourself so you can take care of those around you. I want to see you back here again tomorrow for the bunny slippers. If you want all of the paintings we've been doing, click up here in the iCard. After the video, I will have a link that will be to the playlist for all of the designs. Thank you guys. Remember, take care, and I'll see you soon.